When we talk about the best Geometry Dash players, we usually think of gringos or players from other countries or mostly English-speaking countries such as Space UK, Drink or Soink, and a little going back to an older era. We could talk about Rio, but there really was a Hispanic player who at the time was going to be, let's say, the best. It could even be considered that surpassing everything I have mentioned to you previously, also being one of the first to pass Cataclysm when it was not yet known that it was possible, and also having verified a stream demo that his time was the most difficult, that he was Acropolix, and also having made many super outstanding achievements in a very ancient time. The player I am talking about is Soulstrk, that you most certainly know since he currently has 376,000 subscribers and is one of the best known and most loved players. That is why, as I told you before, he is a super legendary player who was born in Spain, Catalonia, and who is currently 23 years old, who also has a Twitter account. But with 93,900 followers and a Twitch account in which it is verified that you most certainly know her, and that, as I already told you before, this is one of the most beloved and most loved young people since she has been one of the first to pass levels like Bloodbath, and also, as I already told you, Cataclysm. Yes, in fact it is on the screen of the new Cataclysm since it was one of those who passed it when it was hacked, and also one of his best known videos when Redemption was passed. But we're way ahead of ourselves. First, you have to go through the beginnings of your Source career. He created his channel on June 24, 2013, but it would not be until 1 year later when he would upload his first video, which would precisely be of Geometry Dash, which is in fact the club step, which most surely everyone knows, which is the video in which club is completed and in fact specifies that it is in the Steam version and that he got the new icon of the Steam version, and this video was more specifically uploaded on December 26, 2014, and really here is where the career of a legend would begin after. This would only pass his first online demon, which would be Speed Racer by Certical FA, although at that time let's say that his ability was not that outstanding either, since it is true that there were already in some levels a little more complicated, but as we will see later this would change radically. As I already told you, he didn't really explode in visits or anything like that. Let's say he went quite unnoticed in the community. He was not yet someone outstanding, and in fact he continued to upload several videos which were of levels that he was. I liked, for example, one that is called Tea Time, which is really not a level that is very complicated, but here I would be close to defining the colors that would characterize it throughout its history. And in fact, one of the videos which he really pressed her in visits, it was about a demo that at that time was considered impossible. And here he would show a little of his true ability. The level was Dishay Machine, who may currently be a hard demon, but he passed it on February 25th, 2015, which honestly is a crazy life. What they have, and even in the description it says, "My goodness, I still don't believe it, that is by far the most impossible level I have completed." And indeed, at that time, Dishay Machine was one of the most difficult, and from here on I would not stop playing demons. In fact, it went from going to some hard, let's say more normal levels. There is very little time to move on from Code Dishay Machine, which, as I already told you at that time, was his hardest, and even by Simpa, that even today there are people who find it difficult. And from here the big difference in his ability was noticed, since he also switched to Theory F Skrillex and would begin to pass an insane demon. Yes, indeed, souls would begin to practice supersonic, and even 66% was done in a very short time, and just a few days later 92% was done. There were even people who at that time thought that he was going to quit, but no. A few days later supersonic was passed, which is currently A, since at that time it was one of the most difficult. At this time it was passed to levels like Chaosin, Patoxic, C-Words, and also Forzak and Neon, which in fact a pretty viral clip was made here of him when he dies at 98%. But hey, you have to advance a few years. For a long time Source would continue to pass some levels such as Codex and also Ultra Drivers, and here her ability was also seen a lot, but definitely the video that squeezed her in visits was her videos about Cataclysm, and the video in which He proposed to pass it. Let us remember that at that time, Catacris I think was the top one, or at least one of the most difficult. It was when 74% was done, and guess how long it took to pass it after 74%. The next day it rose 100%, and this video today has 662,000 views since it was one of the first. And if you go to the current Cataclysm screen, its name is there, and from here the visits began to rise like crazy. When he uploaded Delmo 2.0, he got 300,000 well. Other levels also got thousands and thousands of visits, such as when he passed the ultimate phase and also sequence. But here would come the most viral video on his entire channel, and let's say that at this time there was no Hispanic player who had his ability, not even the same guitar. No one even had a similar ability, since on March 27, 2016, 61% in Bluesback, and on April 5th, 2016, Bluesback was finally completed. A video rather currently with 1,800,000 views, and in fact in the video in which 61% was made, he said that he was going to try to play with 144 Hz, and indeed he did so, and from here he legitimately became the best Hispanic player, since after passing Bloodbath he moved to levels such as Acropolix, Galaxy Chamber, and even Dickon Machine was reversed. Also around this time he reached 100,000 subscribers, and as I already told you before, there was no one who could stop him, well, which was one of the most famous and also one of the most skilled, and even Carlos Casia also got thousands and thousands of visits. But here a problem happened, since it could be said that his last moment as the best player, as one of the best creators, was when he started making videos of curiosities and also moved on to Artificial Aza. But as I already told you, a problem happened, and that is that adulthood arrived, the moment in which I could no longer dedicate so much time to Geometry Dash, since Source began working, and it is surely a story of which many I don't know, since he has currently said it during several live shows, but because he is no longer so active and because he no longer spends so much time on YouTube or anything, since he has left the channel several times, the active one, and when he tried to get out a little bit of Geometry Ash, let's say that he didn't do that well either, and really after that he fell far behind in his ability and no longer had a way, let's say, to stand out. He also tried to explain how YouTube had changed and that he was no longer doing so well, that he was no longer as passionate about geometry as he used to or anything like that, and in fact many will say that he stopped uploading geometry, and for a while. Also thanks to that, he lost a lot of people who followed him and he was highly criticized, and here they also lowered his visits, and let's say that he has already abandoned YouTube a little and also Geometry Dash, because what his last video was 4 months ago, and it was about Minecraft, and currently he is almost no longer active, and his videos with jousting get 20,000 or 30,000 views, which for a person in which he was at the top of everything, that his best moment was in 2017, is definitely something a little sad, but that he will always be remembered as a legend, even though he is not very active nowadays. What about you? What do you think of Souls? You think he's the greatest Hispanic ever? At least as far as difficulty is concerned, it's a moment on each level. Leave me in the comments, what do you think? And I would like to take advantage of this moment to put the people on my Discord server here, the latest subscribers and the channel members who always appear at the end of all videos. And if you would like to see the video, a video about another Spanish speaker from Latin America, which is currently one of the best, and if you want to complete the entire list, I highly recommend you watch this video about Raves, who, as I already told you, is one of the best players. I would even consider the best Colombian player. And well, ladies and gentlemen, I retire.